Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, L.H.A.I just filed an 8K report announcing a material definitive agreement, and I'm seeing a key detail about the closing date that really matters. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. This filing tells us Linkhome Holdings is buying a mortgage company, but the timeline has shifted and that has big implications. Alright, let's dive into this filing from Linkhome Holdings Incorporated, ticker symbol. Ally, it is a current report, basically an update on significant events. The company Linkhome Holdings Incorporated announced it entered into a stock purchase agreement. This means they are buying another company. The company they are buying is Constant Investments Incorporated, which does business as Mortgage One Group. So Linkhome is acquiring a mortgage operation. Linkhome is acquiring 100% of Mortgage One Group's shares. This is a full takeover. Now, what are they paying for this? Linkhome is issuing 300,000 shares of its own common stock to the sellers. This is not an all-cash deal, which means existing shareholders might see some dilution. On top of the stock, the sellers also have a chance to earn up to $750,000 in cash. This earnout is tied to how well the mortgage business performs over the next 2 years after the sale. Specifically, they get 0.25% of the total loan volume originated by Mortgage One Group. It is a performance-based incentive. Interestingly, Linkhome is also entering into consulting agreements with the sellers. These agreements are for 2 years, and the sellers will get a total of $250,000 to help with the transition and operations. This is a common practice to ensure a smooth handover and leverage the seller's expertise. As part of the deal, the sellers will also sign restrictive covenant agreements. These are basically agreements not to compete with their own sold business, not to poach customers or employees, and to keep company information secret for a set period after the sale. These are standard clauses to protect the buyer's investment. The original plan was to close this deal by May 31st, 2026. But here is where things get interesting. Just a few days later, on May 12th, they signed an amendment to this purchase agreement. This amendment pushes the expected closing date back to July 1st, 2026. That is about a month's delay. This amendment also clarifies something important. Linkhome's second round of financing is no longer a requirement for the sellers to close the deal. This is a good sign for the sellers, as it means they are not being held up by the buyer's ability to secure funding. For Linkhome, it might mean they are confident in their financing or have alternative plans. The company also put out a press release on May 12th to announce this stock purchase agreement. We often see companies filing an 8K along with a press release to get the news out. Linkhome is identifying itself as an emerging growth company. This means they likely have less than 2 years of operating history as a public company and are subject to fewer reporting requirements. Now, like many filings, this one includes forward-looking statements. These are essentially educated guesses about the future based on current information. They talk about the expected closing and how the acquisition will improve operations and bring in new AI-driven solutions. They also mention expanding their housing finance programs and applying for more state mortgage licenses. This section is all about the documents being filed along with the report. You can see they've included the stock purchase agreement and the amendment as exhibits, plus the press release. Looking at the broader context, Linkhome Holdings currently has a market cap of around $15 million. They are in the real estate sector, specifically real estate services. There was also a recent headline about the CEO Jen Chin selling over $2 million in company stock around the same time this deal was announced. This could be seen in a few ways. Perhaps the CEO is cashing in on a good opportunity, or maybe it signals something about their confidence in the near-term future. It is something for existing shareholders to definitely keep an eye on. From my perspective, the delay in closing and the clarification about financing not being a condition for the sellers is the most significant part of this filing. While the acquisition of Mortgage One Group sounds strategically sound, especially with the mention of AI integration, the extended timeline could introduce new uncertainties. Buyers typically want to close as quickly as possible. A 1-month delay is not extreme, but it does add a little extra time for conditions to change. The fact that the sellers are not dependent on Linkhome's financing anymore is a positive for them, ensuring they still get their deal done, but it could put more pressure on Linkhome to manage its own funding. The fact that Linkhome is using stock as a major part of the payment is also noteworthy given its small market cap, meaning that share issuance could be more impactful on dilution for existing shareholders. What I am really watching for is how this purchase impacts Linkhome's ability to execute its growth plans, especially the integration of AI into mortgage operations and the expansion of their housing finance programs. The market will be looking for tangible results from this acquisition soon. And the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded. If you found this analysis helpful, please like this video, subscribe for more, and join our community discussion in the Discord.